Start. You have been in foreign service for a long time,
Yes.
20 years actually, more than 20 years, or about 20 years. Korea, Japan, Russia, spent quite a lot of time outside Singapore. The question really is, has the view of Singapore changed in the last 10 years, 15 years, or is it still one view of Singapore?
No, I think this country, most foreigners now look upon Singapore as a serious success story. We were the first Asian country to become first world country after Japan. People admire and respect what we have achieved in a short time. So I think there's no doubt that most foreigners see Singapore as a good story, a good economic success story. If you look at the streams of officials who are coming from major countries like Russia, China, even the Middle East, trying to learn our system, to study our strategies for development, it's quite clearly that we have a model that can be shared, that can be adapted.
So do you really think that Singapore punches above its weight in international affairs, to quote former Foreign Minister S. Rajaratnam?
I think Singapore has to punch above its weight because, if we resign ourselves to our smallness, we don't try to transcend our smallness, we will become insignificant. Unfortunately, in the world, major powers view countries in hierarchical terms. Smaller countries have less strategic weight, therefore can be ignored more often than the bigger countries. So for Singapore to make an impact in the world, to contribute our value to the global community, we have to learn how to remake ourselves, make ourselves more useful to others. So in that sense, we do punch above our weight.
Yeah, you said that, definitely Singapore is a success story as far as the economy is concerned, life is concerned. But what about, let's say, politics? Do your experiences with foreigners, does that topic come up, that we don't have the kind of freedom, let's say, the West has?
No, I think that view of Singapore has diminished quite a bit. I think with the threat of terrorism, I think all countries are trying to understand how to deal with the difficult elements of their society. Terrorism has been around for a long time, through the ages, but I think 9/11 has given a modern cast to terrorism, which is far more powerful, far more destructive than before. So in that light, Singapore's ability to manage our racial problems, to try to preempt acts of terrorism before they happen, I think those are lessons that I think people are watching. And that is, in terms of politics, I think we have been useful that way.
Picking up from that point about preventing terrorism from happening, the Apec preparations for the summit are underway. Yeah. It's going to be a very big summit. President-elect Obama will be coming to town probably. What are some of the issues and concerns that you are most concerned about in preparing for the summit?
I think security and logistics, these are constants for any country that's organizing the APEC leaders meetings. I think Peru this year had to deal with that kind of issues as well. But I have full confidence in Singapore's security ministries. I think we will do the right things.
What the APEC summit is going to be held in the backdrop of this meltdown, right? That is the big issue, that is the big story. Do you see that as the major topic to be discussed here? The dimensions of that in trade, whether there will be protectionism?
I think for sure 2009 is not going to be business as usual. When this summit and the close to 100 meetings in Singapore, we will have to grapple with that issue. But I think the true challenge for Singapore is not to manage the gloom and doom. The challenge is actually far more forward-looking. It is to position APEC to ride this tide, to prepare ourselves for when the economic upturn will come. I think APEC has to carry out what it set out to achieve when it was formed. It is actually to create conditions for our companies, for our businesses to grow, to prosper within the region and for the region. I think that is a very important objective for APEC next year.
Can I ask about regional groupings? You know, we have had so many regional groupings: ASEAN, SAARC, you know, APEC, FTAs. Now, FTAs, if you want to look at it very, very purely, it in a sense shows the regional groupings have not really succeeded. Is that a fair statement to make?
I think I see the world as far more complex than a linear progression of free trade. I think free trade is a term, a label that captures, I think, a logic that's very important for countries who want to grow. I see no contradiction between, say, WTO and the proliferation of regional trading arrangements. Because, you know, if you look at APEC, when APEC first started in the late 80s, early 90s, the logic of free trade was not entrenched. In fact, there were many economies among the APEC members that still advocated closure of markets, protecting their companies. So
how tough was it for Singapore then? I mean, to move the agenda, or at least to have a role to play and talk about free trade and promoting free trade?
I think Singapore is a shining example of what free trade is about. Our success story is based on the fact that we are open and that we let all companies, foreign and local, compete on a level playing field.
But coming to free trade agreements again, it is, if a trading bloc, if a country deals with a trading bloc, that's a different story. But you are also now seeing country to country free trade agreements, not just ASEAN dealing with one country, right? What does that tell you?
I think if you remember, Singapore was one of the main drivers of free trade arrangements. And I think in every free trade arrangement that we have advocated, whether bilaterally or within APEC or beyond APEC, we have always insisted that it has to, the direction is openness. It is not to close borders to other businesses. And I think the reality is that even within APEC, our companies, our APEC companies do not just deal with APEC companies, they deal with the world companies. So it means that we have to take a far more open approach to economic growth than to think that we can contain ourselves within APEC or within SAARC or within ASEAN.
Let's talk about the significance of this last APEC summit, where we will have a last rotating director, who is you, of course, because Singapore has pushed for a permanent, or at least a director for a three-year term to be appointed, so that you can carry on policies. What do you hope to achieve as this last rotating director? Why is this summit so important?
By the summit, we would have appointed a new person to take over the job for 3 years. And this is a very important part of APEC's growth, because now we have come to an agreement that APEC needs a professional secretariat to effectively run APEC's agenda. The agenda has grown a lot since APEC was established. Secretariat has also grown a lot, but not fast enough. So I think this is a good direction for us. For me, my job is to recruit the next man or woman. I have to spend this next year building up our institutional strength in the Secretariat, whether it's in research or project management or communications, so that the next person that comes in will hit the ground running.